What's up, everybody? How are you all doing? This is Tasha checking in with another video, and we are about to discuss an update on the Caleb Wilson case. Okay, so if it's your first time joining me, go ahead and like this video up, comment in the comment section, and most importantly, subscribe to the Redefine Me channel. Okay, so I reported on this case already, and as you all may know, or some of you all may not know, this is a very, very sad case. Something is very close to my heart because I have a daughter that is around the age of Caleb Wilson and she's in college also. And so when this story broke, my heart went out to his parents. And it's just a really sad, sad situation, right? So the quick background of it is that Caleb Wilson was 20 years old and he went to Southern University and he was pledging Omega Psi Phi, and they were doing some type of hazing with these young men, and the hazing took a turn for the worse. So what we heard previously was that they were online in a park and he passed out, and then we later found out that that was not the whole story. Now that comes forward, the real story, someone came forward and reported that they actually were in a warehouse and they were taking body shots to the chest. So if you don't know what body shots is, that's like somebody punching you repeatedly in the chest or in the stomach or wherever they're going to punch you at, right? And so now the story is that they were in the warehouse, they were taking these body shots to the chest, and then Caleb ended up having a seizure and he passed out, hit his head, and unfortunately died, right? The frat also, or the brothers also took him somewhere, changed his clothes, and then transported him to the hospital. And so we are about to get into the updates of the story. So that's the background of the story. So they were doing an ongoing investigation to actually see what it is that happened in this case. Okay, so I took some notes and we're going to get into it. So, in case you all do not know who Caleb Wilson is, this is Caleb Wilson. Okay, and 20 years old, he went to Southern University in Louisiana. Okay, and so the update is that um so there were 9 pledges online, and they were all taking these shots to the chest. Okay, so let's just say that the police are calling it a hazing death. Okay, they have arrested one person. However, 10 people are going to eventually be linked to this and possibly arrested. The one person that they have arrested has been charged with hazing death, and he also may be charged with manslaughter or second degree murder. Okay. And the person that they have arrested is going to be this man here. This man on the left here, his name is actually ironically Caleb as well. Okay. And so he is the guy that was arrested. He is 23 years old. He's a graduate student. Now he graduated from Southern University last year, right? And he came back to help, I guess, with the pledgees. I guess some of the graduates come back and help sometimes with the pledgees and things of that nature. Okay, he also had served in the military when he was like 19 years old or something like that. So the man had a future ahead of him and seemed like he was going on the right path. And so he decided to take this un just horrible turn in his life and cause this other young man, which is on the right of him, his death. Okay. And so let's get into more of the story. Okay. So we're going to put Caleb back up on the screen. Okay. So the owner of the warehouse that people were asking about, how did they get into this warehouse, what happened with that, some of the news anchors were speaking on that. Okay, so the owner, they couldn't get in contact with the owner of the warehouse. However, they got in contact with Clive Dunn, which is someone who, I guess, the warehouse is in his name, and he has a part owner. Clive said he had no idea that they were using the warehouse for hazing. However, he has a co-owner and his name is Todd Smith. Now, here's where it gets Really interesting. Todd Smith's son is an Omega, and that is the fraternity that Caleb was pledging to. Okay. He is an Omega and a student at Southern University. So I'm thinking that Todd Smith's son ended up getting the keys or whatever from the father and said, listen, we're going to be doing this pledging and things like that, and we want to use the warehouse. So I'm thinking that's what happened in that regard. Okay. And so what I also found out upon research is that there is a Stop Hazing Act in place. Okay. And this Stop Hazing Act was put in place back in 2000 and hold on, y'all know I take notes. The Stop Hazing Act was put in place back in, I think it was December, and I have the notes here. Yeah, it was put back in December of 2000. Hold on, let me get it up because I have it on my phone too. So there's a Stop Hazing Act in place, and it was put in place back in 2000. 2024. So last year, this Stop Hazing Act was put in place, right? And who created this Stop Hazing Act? So let's get into who that is and show you all who that is. So this young man right here on the screen, this is why the Stop Hazing Act came about. His name is Max Groover. Okay, he was 18 years old. He went to LSU and he was pledging Phi Delta Theta. And so while he was pledging, and he pledged it back in 2017, okay, he was hazed. Excuse me. He was forced to drink excessively on the hazing line. Okay, 18 years old. Now, the legal age to drink, we all know, is 21, but they were hazing him. He was pledging this fraternity, and he was to drink excessively. They had him online. The story goes that they were throwing condiments at him and they were having him drink excessively. Okay. They say his blood alcohol levels was 6 times the legal limit. Okay. And because of that, he died and his body was found the next day. Okay. Hold on, y'all. Let me look. Da, 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 da. So arrest was made in his death. Okay. And it was 10 members had a warrant for their arrest, but one person in particular was actually sentenced and arrested for his death, and that is this young man on the screen. His name is Matthew. I cannot don't remember his last name, but his name is Matthew. He went to the school as well. He was arrested, okay, and he was charged with neglect homicide. Um, this is the thing that annoyed me about Max's particular case. Okay, so he was arrested and he was sentenced to 2.5 years. And he was supposed to get 5, but the rest of the sentence was suspended. And the 2.5 years, they say, could be taken down for good behavior. So he actually might have only served a year, okay, in jail for the death of Max Groover. That is insane to me. How are you connected to the death of someone and you only get a sentence of 2.5 years? Okay. Um, they arrested him, Matthew, and 3 others in the death of Max Groover, but a warrant was issued for 10 of the members. So I don't know what happened to the 3 other members, but this particular individual was the one that was named, I guess, the primary person in the case that committed this crime. Um, so that is why we have the No Hazing Act, because of Max's parents who decided to put together this organization. I'm just going to read y'all what the Stop Hazing Act is from my phone here. So the Stop Campus Hazing Act, that's what it's called, was signed into law on December 24th, 2024. The Stop the Stop Campus Hazing Act requires each institution of higher education that receives federal student aid to maintain and update biannually a website page that discloses student organization violations of institutions code of conduct excuse me, that threatens the safety of students. The report will detail the corrective measures imposed by the school on the student organization. This will allow the student and the parents to make a more informed decision about which student organization are safe to join. States such as South Carolina, Georgia, Louisiana, and Pennsylvania have already adopted similar laws, but it will be more effective as a federal law to include these disclosures to cover all schools. So right now, this law is not put into place over all schools, right? However, in Georgia, South Carolina, Louisiana, Pennsylvania, in those places, if there is a college there, they have a Stop Hazing Act in place. Now, if something what I'm gaining from this is that if something does take place, then it has to be updated on the website. And therefore, individuals that want to join a fraternity or a sorority can make a sound decision on if they want to join based off of, I guess, the updating. It's almost something like a Better Business Bureau for fraternities and sororities. And I could be totally wrong. And if y'all know more, correct me if I'm wrong, but it could be something like that. Okay. But his parents decided to put that into law once he passed. Okay. So fast forward back up to Caleb's story. So we going back to Caleb's story. So they arrested the guy, and let's talk about who they arrested. Okay. So again, they arrested a guy, and ironically, his name is Caleb McCray. Okay. He is 23 years old. Excuse me. He's 23 years old. They arrested him in the death of the other young man that we're discussing, Caleb Wilson. He is being charged for one count of hazing and manslaughter. Okay. Now he graduated, like I said, last year in 2023 from Southern University. He came back to do this type of hazing, participate or whatever it is. Okay. He's actually was in graduate school. Um, the police also say up to 10 other people could face charges in this situation as well. Um, this is just a sad, sad case. Like I said before, he was in graduate school and he served in the military back in 2019. This case is ridiculous and sad and senseless. Like there is no reason for both of these black men, young men on the screen for their lives to be over, basically. We know Caleb Wilson, he is now deceased. We also know that this other guy, Caleb, he's going to be serving some time. And I don't want to even throw the race car out there, right? I really, really don't. But however, the dude, Caleb McCray, is probably going to end up serving way more time than the people I just discussed, than the other young man when it happened in a different case, right? This young man right here, okay? This young man hazed someone at LSU, and he only got 2.5 years for the death of this young man, right? And so when it comes to Caleb Wilson, with this young man here in the orange, I believe they're going to give him more than 2.5 years. I just believe that. I don't know why, but I just believe it's going to happen. However, it's just senseless. It's ridiculous. He's arrested right now, but they also have at least probably 10 other people that may be charged with something. And also they need to charge Todd Smith, which is the one of the co-owners of the warehouse where this incident took place, because Todd Smith's son goes to LSU, goes to Southern University and is a Omega. So how do you think that they were able to get into the warehouse? Todd Smith's son probably asked him to use the warehouse. So then in turn means that Todd Smith knew that they were going to be in that warehouse doing some type of hazing, right? He may not have known the degree of the hazing of what was going to happen. However, you provided a space for this situation to go down. So I don't know. Todd Smith may end up having some charges, right? We don't know. But what we do know is that the arrest has been made by this guy in the orange. And like I said, his name is also Caleb McCray. He's 23 years old. And I'm just really confused. You're 23 years old And I know schools do this. I know when some of these fraternity brothers graduate and everything, they come back to the school and they come back to help out with the hazing and the pledges and having them walk and stuff like that and all that, cross the line and all of that. I have heard that that's what they do, right? But why, sir, are you at 23 years old? Now they said he was in graduate school. You should be focused on graduate school. You coming back to do something like this, which I think is wild and ridiculous. And unfortunately, this young man, Caleb Wilson, has now lost his life behind this foolishness. And this is why we as parents have to make sure we communicate to our children the dangers of college life or university life, as well as the pros of it. Imagine being a parent, you send your child to school to get an education. And unfortunately, they get on campus and you're a freshman, or some of them don't even allow freshmen to pledge. Maybe you're a sophomore whenever you pledge. But you get on this campus, you're overwhelmed by the campus because who knows where you came from? You could have came from a small town or what have you. You're overwhelmed by the campus. There's a lot of activities going on. You already have, it has been conditioned in your mind. Excuse me, I'm about to get a cough drop. Hopefully this cough will end very, very soon. But you get on campus and you want to be a part. You want to be a part of something because it's already been glamorized by movies like Stump the Yard, for example, glamorizes fraternities and sororities. I remember back in the day, A Different World made it seem like you had to be, they didn't glamorize it or focus just on that, but they had their part in it too, especially in the Black culture. They make it seem like, oh yeah, when you get to campus, get in a sisterhood or a brotherhood and you'll have lifelong connections and things like that. However, that's not always the case with these fraternities and sororities. As you can see with Caleb, he lost his life behind wanting to belong and be a part of something. And it's just unfortunate. It really, really is. He was in the band. He was a part of the human jukebox in at the school jukebox band. I guess that's what they call it. And just unfortunate. They talked to some students that knew him. They said he was a really kind person, really happy person, a nice guy, all around good guy, and he didn't deserve this. And this is what, this story touched me. Like I said, it was close to my heart because I have a daughter that is in college now too, and she's 21. And when I think about the idea or the fact that she could be on a campus and something like this could happen to her, I can't even imagine what his parents would go through, because that would break me if I got a phone call saying that she was pledging and she got hazed and it ended her life. And so it's like we have to, as parents, communicate with our children about the ins and outs, the ups and downs of college and university life. And unfortunately, and I'm not saying I'm against fraternities and sororities. I'm just going to put that out there. I don't think that you should join them. And I think that they are just dark. I think they're demonic. I think that they have a lot of things that go on within these fraternities and sororities that are not okay. And that's my own personal stance on it. However, there are people who don't have a problem with them and they want to be a part and they want to join them. That's their prerogative. But, I really, in 2025, I'm like, we're still doing hazing. We're still hazing to the point. And I know when you do these fraternities and sororities, that you're probably going to do something like maybe walk like a duck or something for like 3 hours or every time I see you or whatever. Like light-hearted hazing, I don't think is a major problem, right? But when it goes to the level of death, like first of all, they were punching their line. It was 9 pledges on the line at this warehouse. They are punching them in the chest. Now, I don't know how tall Caleb is or anything like that. But from looking at this picture, we can assume that he was a small framed young man, right? And you're punching him and punching him in the chest. What do you think is going to happen? And it's so crazy because you don't even realize what you're doing when you're constantly punching somebody and blow after blow after blow in the chest. They're not no boxer or nothing like that. They don't train for stuff like this. This is a young man that wanted to be a part of a fraternity. Probably maybe a family member was in it. He probably heard about it, researched it, and said, "This is the fraternity I want to join." And he decided to go forward with it, right? But in his frame, if we're looking at the picture with his stature, he doesn't look like a big guy. Like he looks like a small frame young man, and you all repeatedly punched him over and over and over again. Um, what else I want to say about the case? So I'm going to keep y'all updated on this case. They are saying that other people are going to be arrested, but right now they have just this man in custody. He's actually arrested. And what's crazy is that he was in graduate school. This man has served in the military. He was on his way to being successful in life. He's a Omega also, but because he chose to do something so heinous and deadly to somebody else, now his life is over as well. So both of these families are affected behind this situation, but more so Caleb Wilson's family. This young man is even more affected because of the fact that they have lost the life of their child, and no amount of money, nothing in the world, when you lose a child, can calm any type of anxiety or any type of sadness or whatever you may feel from the loss of a child. They're going to have to lean on Jesus, absolutely, 100%, and go to therapy possibly to even get over this. But there's no time frame on that type of thing though. So it's just really, really sad about this situation. And this young man's parents too. Like the other one I had brought up that was also involved in the hazing. This young man's parents, he was 18. He was a freshman. He just graduated from high school, and he was at LSU and got hazed in a drinking haze. And he lost his life. His blood alcohol level was 6 times over the legal limit. 6 times. And he died. And they say they found his body the next day. So his brothers didn't even have the decency to take him to the hospital because they say his body was found. And so they arrested this guy in the last picture that I showed in his death. And also they had 10 other guys that had got arrested. I don't know what they got charged with, but I think he was the primary person. He was probably the head of it. They arrested him on it. Now he only served 2.5 years, which blew my mind, took my mind, and took my breath away. Really, because you killed somebody basically and dumped their body somewhere, and you only got 2.5 years. Could you imagine how his parents felt when they handed down that sentence? 2.5 years. So I don't know what his sentence is going to be for Caleb Wilson's death. I will keep y'all updated on that. It is very sad. Very, very, very sad. This was senseless. It was stupid. It should not have happened. Caleb Wilson should still be walking around, talking, living, breathing, being active in school, and being just a light to how he was with his friends. And this dude, you know, I just don't get it. And I haven't seen the man in the orange, his stature or frame or anything like that. So I don't know how much bigger he is than Caleb. I would imagine, based off of maybe his neck size and shoulders or whatever, that he's probably bigger than him. And even if you were the same size, if you're continuing to punch somebody in the chest, that's a problem. So anyway, y'all, that's all the update that I have for y'all. I wish that young people will understand that you don't have to go into a fraternity or sorority to feel like you belong to something. I wish younger people will understand their worth and know that you don't have to sign up for these situations or these things and go into this. because they hit these college campuses and they're searching for themselves, trying to find themselves, trying to see where they fit in and belong. And because of that, they end up getting involved in some things that's just, that you can't come back from. And this is one of those things. Like, he's now lost his life because he got involved with a fraternity. And so the investigation is ongoing. It's going to continue. Um, as we know, the story they told us in the beginning is not true. The actual story, and I said allegedly when I talked about it on my Hot Topics earlier this week, but the actual story is that they were in a warehouse. They had them lined up. They were punching them in the chest, taking body shots to them. And Caleb had a seizure, passed out, hit his head. But here's the other kicker that I didn't mention too. They changed. Now I did mention this, but I didn't mention this other part. They changed his clothes, right? Because they didn't want him to be, I guess, in the fraternity, whatever they had them wear. So they changed his clothes, which is wild to me because you have a person that is limp, eyes closed, dead weight. You don't know what's going on. Everybody knows that if a person passes out or something happens, unless you are a medical professional, you shouldn't move them. I know I wouldn't. My initial thought would be, oh my God, let's call 911, right? And I'm pretty sure there probably was a pledger that said, let's call 911, but the majority was like, no, because they'll try to say that we had something to do with this and everything like that. Now, I'm trying to figure out why is it that none of the pledgees, and they might have, because they did say somebody came forth and said where they actually were, but why is the pledgees, could you imagine, they're probably keeping silent because in their mind, this is messed up, but they also probably still want to be a part of this fraternity, right? But at this point, I wouldn't want to be a part of the fraternity because it would have a stain on it. Wherever I go, they would know that, oh, Omega Psi Phi, you went to Southern University. Were you on the line with this young man who lost his life? Like, I wouldn't even want nothing to do with it. It would traumatize me after this experience. And so the crazy thing is that they changed his clothes and they then took him to the hospital. So they didn't take him to the closest hospital. They took him to a hospital that was further away. Now, I don't understand why that was. And I don't understand. And now that I know that it was in a warehouse, I understand why they did not call the ambulance, because they probably wasn't supposed to be in the warehouse. And Todd Smith, who was the co-owner of that warehouse, son was like, probably like, don't call the police because then my dad is going to get in trouble because he let us use this warehouse. So I'm just spinning a couple of allegedly narratives in my head. But what's not allegedly is that they were in this warehouse, they were doing body shots to the chest, and because of that, that is how he died. Just sad. Just sad. It's almost like when you are you think that your job gets easier as a parent once your children get older, because you're thinking of along the line says, okay, I don't have to hover over them, or I don't have to, they're on their own and I can kind of relax a little bit. No, you're still on high alert even when they are in college, even when your children grow older. You're still on high alert because you you have to deal with stuff that may happen like this. You're you know always on alert because you don't know from one day to the next what they're going through in college. And so because of him being in school and wanting to join up with this sorority, I mean this fraternity, he lost his life. And it's just sad, man. It's sad. This dude right here in the orange, 23 years old. You was done with school, sir. Why did you go back to help them? But again, some of these fraternities do that. They welcome back the old pledgers, or the old whatever they call them. I don't know about the Greek life, the fraternity, sororities, all of that, but they bring them back sometimes to help out with the line. Why? And now because you decide to come back, and I guess, and it's an arrogance thing, a pride thing when you get in some of these organizations, right? And now you coming back, walking up in there thinking you big man to these newly pledgees, and now your life is over, sir, because you're arrested. So y'all, that's all I have for the update. If you missed the beginning of the video, it's a short video. You can go back and watch it. Please go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. And also comment in the comment section what you feel about the case. If you've heard about the case, let's get the conversation going and pop it in the chat. And also make sure you go ahead and subscribe to the Redefine Me channel. We have a good, great time over here. And I will see you all next time. I love y'all so much. Bye.